On the GE perspective, what is really interesting, I kind of feel that my observation is, whatever the reason that Jack Welch's GE is very much into the process driven with the Six Sigma and all this, right? And he trained thousands of people into the whole organizations and delivered amazing results. But I think later on, when the leadership change happened, within 5 years or 10 years, they became too much into the growth perspective at any cost. It's the same situation happened with GM. We wanted to become big by acquiring other companies, right? So that our revenue become big. And they completely lost in touch with what is the net profit, right? So some of the time when you go for the big, to become big, you wanted to kind of doing a lot of the acquisition, and those acquisitions did not pan out or may not be the robust decision on those acquisitions, right? And that is my observation on that.
And GE has been quite firmly criticized for having made a lot of acquisitions and also for not sticking to their strategy. I mean, if you want to now connect strategy with innovation and growth, right? I mean, GE under Immelt went through 5, 6 different iterations of what they were all about as a company. And I think they kind of lost that very clear direction that Welch had laid out. And I think one of the reasons Welch gets talked about so much in management journals is that ability to communicate a thought process.
Yes.
And a kind of cohesion, even in a very diverse company, that sort of central cohesion. I'd love you to talk about, I mean, I know you've done work with General Motors.
Right.
So what are some of the surprising things that you found when you start to peel back some of these layers of process you get involved with? And you don't have to be specific. I know a lot of it's confidential, but
yeah. So most of the time, what I find is that because when the organization becomes so large, right, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So for an example, engineering doesn't know what the marketing is doing. And it's not about GM, it's about a lot of the big corporations we work with, even in Hyundai or Chrysler, all these different companies. So a lot of the time, even the voice of the customer might be coming from the marketing organizations. But the sad part is that a lot of the time that they do not translate to the engineering organization, right? Or engineer may be thinking about designing like this way, and they didn't think about talking to the marketing organizations, right? So a lot of the time, what I find is about the organizational cross-functional discussion, is more about the people perspective of the issue. That is number one, because most of these companies even have been using this as statistical tools and other methodology for a long time. So that is one. The other element, what I found we being an external people, when you come in, when the CEO personally take the time to understand it, go to the training himself or herself, that makes a big difference. Because a lot of the time, what I find is that when the organization hires us as a consultant to come in, a lot of the time they try to wash their hand. And one of my goal is that, no, you cannot wash the hand. If you wash the hand, then I'll be out. So the CEO and the leadership team will be completely engaged. And they have to be accountable. So if they're not accountable, each of them, then it's very difficult. So that is another perspective that we have to make that. So if you ask me today that some of the companies I work with, almost 100% of the credit goes to client, not to me. I'm kind of the catalyst to inspire them that what they should do. We give them the strategy, how to do about it. We give them the tool, how to do about it. But they're the one who execute, right? So a lot of the most of the time when I find the senior leadership team is personally engaged. So any manufacturing project, executive vice president of manufacturing is in charge and is the leader and accountable for those projects to solve the problem, right? Traditionally, when it's led by a CEO, those deployment, that literally help because there is an ownership within the senior leadership team. But in a lot of other companies where they do Six Sigma or any other process improvement, what happened is a lot of the time, the consulting firms, I blame them, as even my own profession, I blame them because consulting firms just trying to focus on to make money from client rather than focusing on making them accountable to the leadership team of the organization because they don't want to hurt them. If you ask me what is my number one achievement as a consultant, I will feel that I stick to my gun. I literally make my client leadership to be accountable and take the 100% ownership, not 99%. That makes a big difference. So when they own it, then I can drive them. If they don't own it, I cannot drive them. So that's what the majority of the, most of the time the success happen.